Welcome to the 7.1 new product information transform. This presentation is about secure connection in between the component enabler clients and MCP host. In this session, we'll cover the concepts about overview of RATL TLS 1.2 connection and how it is different when compared with the RATL connection. Then after we'll see the minimum setup we require to configure the RATL TLS. Next, we'll see the configuration changes we do in client part to establish a connection with MCP host, and same thing will be demonstrated. So far, we have a RATL connection in between the CE clients and MCP host to do the transaction in between them. During the transaction, data is transmitted in the form of packets, and there is no security for them. To overcome this problem, added a security layer for RATL, and it's happening to RATL TLS 1.2 protocol version. This TLS protocol version is recommended from episode, and it's by default. Please make sure it's same in both sides, that is client and server. To work with the TLS 1.2 protocol, we require to configure authorized sign certificate in MCP host, and the same client certificate is required to configure in the client machine. Of course, it's optional and varies based on the configuration setup in server side. That means from where we configure in CE clients. This configuration setup can be done through Microsoft Management Console, that is MMC, in client machine, and that will be showcased during the demo. During the process of connection in between the client and server, we have some sort of authentication mechanism in between them. Server always listens the request from client, and when client initiates the request for connection, client sends the protocol version information. The server responds only when the client protocol version matches. The moment client sends hello message along with protocol information, server responds with the digital certificate, that is public key, and same verified by the client. After successful verification in client end, once again client sends the public key from client side to the server with enabled server public key. This random key or secret key is accessible to the server only. With this way, both server and client connection is get succeeded, and further application data is being communicated in between the client and host. In MCP host, please make sure RATL TLS service is enabled by configuring the authorizer certificate, and then after service should be available with specific port number. To access the application, for sure we should be having application deployed in MCP host through developer, and there's no change about the configuration in this area. And please make sure there's no error during the deployment. Regarding the client part, bundle should be generated with required CE clients like ASP.NET or Web.NET or presentation client or etc. And then after make sure the configuration setup available for the generated bundle. Now we'll see the configuration changes what to be done. Here we talk about the view creation in host side and protocol change in CE client part. Regarding the view creation in MCP host for a deployed application, it's a vital step and works as a mediator in between the deployed host and CE client. So when we set up RATL TLS, there is a slight change in mark command. Please observe the change in view. Here we specified RATL SSL PCM. It's a keyword actually, but backend we are using TLS protocol. And then after rest of the commands are same. After creation of the view, same name should be configured in CE client properties. With respect to the protocol change in CE client, usually we specify the connection URL as x-ratl hostname protocol. Here ratl is a keyword to connect to the client with RATL protocol. Now we have to change the keyword with RATL SSL. So based on this keyword, backend respective protocol will be picked up and processed further to establish a connection. If it is a TLS connection, by default, protocol version is used as TLS 1.2, and we have the option to configure the protocol version in CA clients if the protocol version changed in server. That's all about the configuration changes for RATL TLS setup in client side. Now let's see the demo how to configure the certificate in MMC and RATL TLS related changes in CA client. Start with client certificate configuration MMC. We have a client certificate which is relevant to the server certificate, and these things we can get from trusted authorities. The server certificate is configured in MCP Host, and the client certificate registering through MMC, that is Microsoft Management Console. Let's see the steps how we can configure through MMC. From file, attach, add the certificate. From adder, remove snap-ins, add it, and while adding, please target to the computer account. It is safe to access across, and we won't be having any permission issues if we access from some other user. Now, please navigate to the trusted root authorities and certificates. If we click on the certificates, here we have a list of certificates already registered in some other formats. Now I am trying to import the certificate. Please select the format. Once we done the steps, we will get the confirmation window. Import was successful. The same certificate we can make sure that is available here. Details, certificate path. Yes, once we are done with this certificate can access through our component enabler clients. I will initiate the step to demonstrate the presentation client and configuration changes as well how it will be. Now we'll open the presentation client. Yes, to access the application for sure, we have to access the application through view. The view is linked up to the deployed host. The deployed application we have to make sure and deploy through Visual Studio Developer. Now, if you see the configuration setup, the server URL, if you say x-ratl but in the point of RATL, we used to give only RATL. Now we have to give RATL SSL and host name and port number, and rest of the configuration as it is. Now I'm targeting the application is SRSMPL and view is this is the one. Same, this view is made available in MCP host. Now I'm connecting to the MCP host. It prompts for user credentials. Yes, now we are able to access the application with presentation client. Here, let's see, here we have one application. I'm adding one transaction for this. Yes, we are able to get the successful entry here. Once again, I'm able to go some other, yes, able to do the transaction properly. So with this way, I can confirm I'm able to establish a connection with the RATL to make sure we can do one more step and we can cross check with the logs. So by default, we have configured the log information is available in a temp folder. Now I'm opening the presentation client log. Starting of the application. I'll go to the starting. We'll search for RATL SSL. Yeah, here we are able to, we got the connection URL x-RATL SSL ABS MCP with the same. It is trying to establish a connection. It established. See trust manager construct. It is initiated, and we are able to have connection. Then after rattle reader, rattle writer, all the message communication is happened, and it's related to the transaction. Now we'll see the steps about ASP.NET. I already made available the required environment for ASP.NET. I did a bundle generation and glue files as well made ready. Now I'm opening the configuration setup, what we have to do for ASP.NET with related to the RATL SSL. Here if you observe host URI is the x-RATL SSL ABS MCP is the host name, and 2009 is the port number. And SSL protocol version by default it's TLS 1.2. The same protocol version should match in server side. If we have some other version related to the SSL protocol version, same protocol version we have to specify. So we are ready with the configuration changes and able to. I'm trying to connect to the application through Internet Information Server (IIS). I have the virtual directory. I'm trying to connect to the application. Just now I'm able to get the application. In previous client, we did a transaction. Same thing, we'll try to get it here. So that way, we are make sure we are able to establish a connection and able to do the transaction through RATL SSL protocol. Now, if you see the log, his log is enabled. ASP.NET log is the log file in temp folder. His RATL SSL constructor is called up, connecting to the host, validating the certificate, and after validation, yes, validation certificate done. After that, we are able to do the transaction through RATL message reader and writer. With this, we can make sure we are sure connection establishment happen through RATL SSL protocol. That concludes the presentation for RATL TLS connection in between the component enabler client and MCP host. Thank you.